Joyce Goodman for Assembly Person Daniel O'Connell, and then Maureen Silverman and Walter Gambin.
It's Assembly Member Daniel O'Donnell.
Daniel O'Donnell, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for correcting.
But it's all, I am here, so.
Excellent.
I'm happy to testify on his behalf. His name is Daniel O'Donnell, and he's a member of the New York State Assembly representing the 69th District, which includes Manhattan Valley, Morningside Heights, and portions of the Upper West Side. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss rent adjustments for renewal leases for rent-stabilized apartments. I'm here today to call for a rent freeze. I was pleased to see the board is considering 0% increases for both 1- and 2-year leases. I urge the board to take that bold, historic, and fair step of voting for no increase. Please be aware that the high end of the proposals, if passed, will be an economic burden to thousands of families and individual renters who reside in my district and throughout the city at large. The main purpose of rent regulation is to protect tenants during an emergency housing shortage from rent increases that would constitute a hardship. The function of the Rent Guidelines Board, when authorizing rent increases every year, is to strike a balance between maintaining affordable housing for tenants and allowing landlords to maintain services and make a reasonable profit. For too long, however, the city has failed to grasp who our renters are and what incomes they have. The result is that more families are finding it increasingly difficult to afford their rents. Once forced out of their apartments, low and middle income New Yorkers have fewer and fewer affordable housing options. In my community office, the crisis comes to life every day, and it's on me, so I should know. We see many forced to choose between paying the rent and paying for other necessities. This was the case for a 65-year-old constituent who fell behind in her rent after suffering from an illness and having to choose between paying medical bills and paying rent. We see those who are chronically late in paying their rent because they have no savings and rely on the arrival of their Social Security check before paying the rent. We see many families with children unable to find housing anywhere after living in a city shelter for 11 or 12 months. This year, the RGB must finally fulfill its responsibility to tenants by taking their circumstances into account when adjusting the rents. The difficulties my constituents face paying rent take on added meaning when we consider that they cannot simply relocate to other New York City neighborhoods to find housing. Affordability is an issue across the city. In fact, my community office would justifiably operate solely as a housing assistance unit with no extra time or resources to devote to the myriad of other issues that affect my community, given that so many of my constituents have housing-related problems. The reality is, it doesn't have to be this way. The rent burden doesn't have to be so large a portion of income in order for landlords to realize reasonable profits. I have serious concerns about the data that RGB relies on in this decision-making process, and I question the extent to which landlords' actual expenses and incomes are taken into account. In positive news, the New York State Assembly has already passed a comprehensive bill to strengthen protections for renters and stop the rapid loss of rent-stabilized apartments. I am doing all that I can to make sure that by the end of the legislative session, we have stronger rent laws that protect tenants. However, this board's decision will still affect thousands of families, annual renters. We know what affordable housing means to people and to communities. Affordable housing helps to build more stable communities, relieves stress within families, and helps people save for life's inevitable emergencies. I am adamantly opposed to yet another rent increase, which will further burden thousands of New Yorkers who are already struggling to make ends meet. It is time for the RGB to take the dramatic step of enacting a rent freeze.
Thank you so much.
I should say that I'm a stabilized tenant myself, and that last hit, 7.75%, did me in.
Thank you for your testimony. Maureen Silverman, Walter Gambin, Diane Westland.
I live in Independence Plaza. We were formerly in Mitchell-Lama.
Are you Maureen Silverman?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, you're right. I just want to make sure you were
Yeah.
you.
I live in Independence Plaza. We were in Mitchell-Lama until 2004. Then we privatized, and we negotiated for the long-term tenants. For some of them are enhanced vouchers, but some of them are LAP, and the LAP tenants are subjected to RGB increases. I'm a native New Yorker, and it's really sad. New York has lost its soul because of gentrification. We need to bring the soul back to New York City. We live one of the most expensive housing markets in the nation. And we live in New York has the largest gap in inequality in the nation. This has to stop. And a lot of it is due to gentrification and the astronomical rents that landlords are paying. I've been coming to these hearings for 20 years. No matter what, oil prices go down, oil prices go up. Taxes go up, taxes go down. No matter what, landlords get a rent increase. Every year, people ask, what about, you asked about before, what about those small landlords? Same ploy, the same charade happens year after year. The small the real estate board, the real estate industry purposely brings out the small landlords to do their charade and to say, poor me, when we know that most of the rent-stabilized apartments are owned by very large corporations and who are making astronomical profits. It's not small landlords, it's huge corporations. So let's get that straight. After 20 years, I've seen the small landlord charade year after year. It's a ploy. So that has to stop. In Independence Plaza, due to the increases that our tenants have been subjected to, many of our tenants, many of them seniors, have been forced to move out of our housing complex, and they can no longer live. And our complex is experiencing, as all over Lower Manhattan, extreme stability and extreme transience, and it was a place that there once was stability. I just read that Tribeca and Lower Manhattan.
Silverman, we have so many people who've been here for hours too. So if you
okay,
could, thank you so
Tribeca
much.
and Lower Manhattan, I just found out, is at risk of losing the most amount of regulated housing in the city. With longer vacancy decontrol, luxury decontrol, astronomical rents, more and more neighborhoods are becoming more unstable. Rent freeze now. I'm sick of no more 20 years. I don't want to hear the same old story. Rent freeze now.
Thank you, Ms. Silverman. Walter Gambin, Diane Westland, and Sung Mai Hung. Sir, you can just lift the mic right out of the. There you go.
No, I don't like to do it like that.
Okay.
Usually these things unscrew very easily.
I'm not sure if this one does.
All right, I can craft a little.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Walter Gambin is my name.
Walter Gambin.
Hi. Hello, everybody. My fellow tenants. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy we have some measure of freedom of speech in this country, like in some places in the world does not exist at all, in spite of threats to our freedom of speech. We have this, and in a lot of cities. The primary issue to my mind, and I might add my heart, is money. How much? Who's got it? And why are they keeping so much? The B word, billions, billions upon billions. The trillion word is even coming into play in the news lately. Let me ask this question. What about the people who will hurt if you vote for a rent increase? Will there not be more who will hurt because of being forced to pay for their supply of cash? More than the number of landlords who will hurt from having to, from being able to get less cash, no increase. Landlords will hurt. I do believe, some of my tenants may not, my fellow tenants may not like this, but I do believe there is some percentage among landlords who are hurting, who do have some kind of hardship, and are not making it up, and not getting an increase will hurt. So at least on one level, it comes down to this. Who do you hurt? If you have to go one way or another, wouldn't you want to hurt the Jewish people, knowing that somebody's got to get hurt? There's no two ways about it. Hurt the Jewish people. The most people are the tenants, I say. I have a lot more to say, but I see TikTok.
Thank you, Mr. Gambin.
I would like to finish with something simple. Think with your heart on this. Compassion, I say, not only compassion, there's a sense of duty, but compassion does have a place in these considerations about the welfare of people. Will they have enough so that they have a refrigerator, so they can store their food? They have a place to sleep. They have a door that locks.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you all.
Diane Westland, then Song Mai Hung, and Wai Yi Poon. Yes. All right. We're glad that you did. We have listened. We have. Thank you, Ms. Weston. Thank you for your testimony. Oh.
，YE turn the mic on。
感谢大家来为我们祝客的工作。我是唐人祝客协会会员宋敏红，
So thank you everyone for working so hard for us tenants. My name is Song Mei Hong. I'm a member of the Chinatown Tenants Union.
住在伊丽莎白街90号、15号帕门。
I live at 90 Elizabeth Street, apartment 15.
因为我们这个房东，现在我们工资呢，年纪大不会英语，工资只有600块，房租要1000来块钱。
Yeah, so you know we're immigrants. We don't know a lot of English. We only make around $600 per month, but our rent is $900.
因为他这个房东有钱，把这个房子卖了，是吧？卖走放走就不管，没有人来管理，一把钥匙要100块钱。
On top of that, this new landlord that just bought our building last year, he is harassing us, trying to evict us. And when he first bought the building, he changed the locks and required us to pay $100 for new keys.
因为他有钱呢，把这个唐人街这里房子买来，这里房子买来都放走，把人家我们22个帕门，他赶走6个都空着，没有人来管。
And this landlord has bought many other buildings in Chinatown. We have 22 apartments in our building alone. He has already forced out 6 apartments.
现在把这个帕门都关走，我们卫生啊什么他都不管，我们进去门一关，一把钥匙它是那个电子进不去，我们去一股臭味，对我们身体都有影响。
And he hasn't managed the building very well. He hasn't taken care of the garbage. There's always a smell when we go into the building.
因为我们租客房东有钱，这里买来房租有加高，大家没有办法呢交房租。现在呢，房东都把这个房租加起来，我们这个店里他们也没有办法，搞得我们没有办法生活，房租交不起，是吧？
Yeah, so life has been really hard for us. He didn't give us heat at one point.
Hello.
Hello.
因为我们工资只有600块，房租要1000来块钱，我们就根本没有办法生活。政府对我们很照顾，我们都很满意。就是房东有钱，把唐人街这里买了那里买了都放着，不管我们住客的死活。
So it's been really hard to, live there. We only make $600, but our rent is almost $1,000. We know that the U.S. government really takes care of us. And so, but it's just that this landlord is not. And so we really need to keep our home. And so please help us stop the landlord from, having another way to force us to move out.
感谢你们对我们呢，我们要求减租，我们没有办法生活，谢谢。
So thank you all. Please support a rent rollback and support us.
Thank you for your testimony. YE Poon?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wai Poon. I'm the organizer at Chinatown Tenants Union. CTU for short. So CTU has been organizing in Chinatown for the past 10 years. We organize low-income tenants. And personally, we have been in homes of hundreds of tenants, getting to know them and talking to them about their living conditions. And I'll let Bernice introduce herself.
So I'm Bernice Chan. I'm also an organizer with the Chinatown Tenants Union. And we just wanted to share a story. Yesterday we were door knocking and there was a tenant from 51 Monroe Street who is from China, and she was sharing her story with us. And she was constantly expressing her gratitude that there was an organization looking out for her. She expressed her frustration of working in a restaurant for over 10 hours a day and barely earning $2,000 a month and having to spend half of that salary on rent. And she told us that when she heard about America, no one told her that it would be this hard to get by. So to have to pay half of their salary on rent is an unfair burden on our community residents. And as Chinatown faces more and more predatory landlords and unaffordable new businesses, any rent increase would add to the message that Chinatown is no longer for the Chinese immigrant population who helped create it. And even if you can't do anything in your positions on these conditions that these tenants are facing, as you said before, it's outside of your power, what you can do is take these stories and have a more holistic picture of what they're facing as tenants in New York City from their landlords. And as the board, you have the power just by voting to make their lives a lot less difficult and a lot more more enjoyable to live in New York City. So on behalf of the Chinatown Tenants Union and on the urgent and pressing need to make New York City a city that's more affordable and that it's a city that we're proud to call home, we urge for you to vote for a rent rollback on this year and to stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. So Chara Bourdieu, and then Susan Gammy.
Greetings all.
Greetings.
Guidelines.
Hi.
Hi, I brought my 5-year-old. I'm a working class. I'm a single mom. This is Aries. And my name is Charo Bourdieu. I'm sorry I can't afford a babysitter. So here it comes.
I'm sorry that he has to be here, but he's making our night very nice. So thank you and thank him.
Thank you. So, like I said, I'm Charo Bourdieu. I lived in Soho by the Lower East Side. I have a rent-controlled apartment. I feel very blessed. I've been there for 36 years. I love Soho, but there are issues. So here they go. So the older tenants in my building are moving out, and the new tenants moving in pay higher rent than me. So I'm losing neighbors left and right, and the sense of community is gone. I can't afford to shop in my neighborhood. I have to go to Delancey. I don't know if you guys know the neighborhood. So my rent will increase, but also my babysitter fees go up. Community services like after-school programs for my child goes up. Basically, it's challenging. So I live in a walk-up on the 5th floor. I am the only tenant. I heard that I'm getting a neighbor. I don't know how much she pays. So I'm basically alone in that, the top floor, because everybody's kind of like gone. It's challenging. I have to do laundry outside. We can't have like washing machines. Shopping, I go to other neighborhoods. I'm Dominican, so sometimes I end up in Washington Heights. I buy stuff up there because I can afford it. It's very challenging. I am grateful for everything I have. I have a college degree. I work for a building owner, so I know the other side of it. I'm like torn apart. And they have lawyers, you know, challenging situations. So I got the rent control apartment because my grandmother passed away. She lived in that apartment for many years. And I was living with her, and when she passed away, the building owner, he hired like a detective. He was calling like my past employers, and I found out because he was trying to figure out to prove if I was there for 2 years. I face a lot of challenges. I'm pleading with you guys. He is the face, I am the face, my neighbors are. Please, I'm asking for a 0 increase. You know, my mom is not here, and other people that are still in the building are not here. but I'm here. I don't have a babysitter, and please take that into consideration. I am grateful that I have a rent control apartment. I am grateful that I work for a landlord, how they say, but I don't have no health benefits, and like we're all in this together, you know? I don't want to like talk bad about the hand that feeds me, but I struggle, and it's a challenge, and please take that into consideration. If you have any questions, I think that's it.
Thank you for sharing your story, and you were very patient, and he was very patient. If he would like to introduce himself, he is welcome to do so, because he was here a long time.
If you want to say your name, how old you are?
5.
What's your name?
Aries.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
That's it.
A tough act to follow.
Hello, board members. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today. I'll keep it to 2 minutes, I promise. My name is Susan Gammy. My husband and I are set and costume designers, respectively. We live in a rent-stabilized apartment in Greenwich Village that we first moved into in 1978, when artists could still afford to live in a neighborhood famous for being hospitable to artists. I serve on Community Board 2. I'm a member of my block association of tenants and neighbors and of United Scenic Artists Local 829. I'm also a member of that increasingly endangered species, Native New Yorker. I'm here today to ask you to support a rent rollback as a measure to balance out the increases of the Bloomberg years. My peer group of artists and writers has continuously for 8 or 9 years now seen wage freezes, decreases, mandatory unpaid furloughs, and other severe cost-cutting measures on the part of the cultural sector institutions that employ us as they attempt to keep their heads above water. There's a very different reality in the real estate sector, where these same years have seen a healthy and continuous appreciation in values, steady increase in rents on regulated and non-regulated apartments, and an increase in owners' NOI in each borough. As you know, the annual allowable increase is not the only legal means of raising rent on regulated apartments. MCIs, IAIs, and vacancy bonuses all provide avenues for increased revenue and accelerated decontrol. These avenues are often pursued deviously and unscrupulously. 400,000 units went out of regulation in the past 12 years. This is a shocking number. Until the state steps up to address the flaws in this system, it is incumbent upon the city to do what it can to protect the affordable housing that currently exists. A decision to roll back rents this year would not only have a huge positive impact on the lives of millions of New Yorkers, it would serve as an important emergency tool in protecting the crucially important healthy economic diversity in this city we all call home. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So everyone who has registered to testify has testified. If there is anyone left who hasn't spoken who would like to speak, please let us know immediately. Otherwise,
I'll be very brief. My name's Al Doyle. I'm from Stuyvesant Town, and I just wanted to say that this city, as we all know, is experiencing the biggest housing crisis that it has ever experienced. And I just want to buttress what Susan Steinberg said before. We'd like to see a rent rollback at this Rent Guidelines Board decision. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
thank you. Thank everyone who's been here for so many hours. We really appreciate it. It means a great deal for us to be able to hear people who are experiencing all sides of the challenges of housing in New York, and we look forward to seeing you either in another borough if you want to come to another hearing, or perhaps on June 24th, the decision. Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.